Hi guys, this is Emnel and we are back playing as Italy. I haven't unpaused since the previous episode and this is the Spanish Civil War. A civil war has erupted in Spain. Several generals seeking to overthrow the current government in Madrid have issued a pronunciamiento, and a large portion of the Spanish armed forces have answered their call to arms. The right-wing nationalist faction has occupied much of Spain, including the overseas territories. Loyalist forces and volunteers have assembled under the left-wing Republican government, determined to resist the putsch to their last breath. The battle for Spain has begun. Alright, we are fascists, so we will be able to send volunteers. Well, frankly, we may even send volunteers to... that's interesting. Just figured I will check, but apparently we can also send volunteers to Republican Spain if we are so inclined. Not sure if they would accept though. Interesting. Anyway, the number of divisions we can send is determined by by our number of divisions. For example, we will be able to send 2. If we were building more and more divisions, we could possibly be able to send 3. Germans will usually get between 2 and 3 at this point in time. Soviets can usually send at least 5. So there is that. What we want to do is pick 2 divisions. I think we'll go with those newly not so upgraded Alpine ones. We'll make a new army out of them, because if you've seen the interface there, we need to pick a unit. We will put... I think we'll put this guy in charge. He already leveled once, and we want to keep... we just want a bit better, a few better generals. You know what, frankly, I think we'll take that brand new guy. Our goal there isn't to win the civil war for us, it's to get more army experience, and it is to gain more experience for our units and our generals, and that's what we are going to do. We go here, click for nationalize Spain, and send volunteers. We have 2 out of 0. Here we go. In 2 weeks, if they accept it, in 2 weeks we will arrive there and get a pop-up. You should usually ignore that, because, well, as long as you have your stuff properly set up here, because that's limited to the needs of this. You know what? I will put that on constant production, really. So at some point it will get better. Oh, important fact about the production. Okay, that was a mistake. It is one of the most crucial mechanics here, is the production efficiency. Production efficiency is only used by your military factories. Naval dockyards always have a production efficiency of 100%. So here we have our production efficiency cap at this point is 50%, and it may be increased by technologies. It is also affected by a difficulty level. If you play on recruit difficulty, it will be 70%. If you are playing on veteran, it will be 30%. It's minus 20 plus 20. Here, as you can see, whenever you add a factory, it will start with a new factory to this. It will start at efficiency of 10%. What that shows is the average of average efficiency here. So all those factories, all those 7 factories work at 100% of their efficiency, which is 50% here. Poor wording, but you know what I mean. And here, not all of them are fully efficient. And productivity increases over time. Basic increase is 1.7% per week. But if that increase is affected by the resources you have. if I was missing some of the resources here, for example, if I didn't have tungsten and only had 66% of the resources, that production efficiency would be production efficiency increased would be also lowered by that amount. Same go. In the same way, the efficiency is at the end affected by the lack of resources. So if naval production used efficiency, the efficiency increase would be lowered by 37.5%. All right. Industrial effort has completed. That's perfect. We are getting. We just got 4 civilian factories, and we will continue in that direction. We do have access to Triumph in Italy, and we could probably go in attack Yugoslavia shortly, but which is something we want to do. But for now, we want to get our next resource slot. This is safest option, and usually the one that makes more sense. Once we upgrade our units a little bit, and we want to do that, we will do some exercising to get them up to speed. But exercising costs. It will generate some army experience, and also, as I mentioned earlier, increase our experience of our units to the level of regular and not further. Sadly, if you train with you cannot train with full army, so I can either have them train or not. Problem is that units with that can't be trained further, like those, would still train and waste equipment. I would still get army experience for it, but they wouldn't get the army experience, so it's mostly wasteful unless you are desperate to get those last few points of army experience. Alright, let's wait for our volunteers to arrive. In such fights, you cannot use your navy or your air force. Okay, basic machine tools. What I described earlier, production efficiency cap. It has just risen. If we look into our production, now everything has 50 out of 57. 55, it will rise shortly. And research slot available. Next, always, this line. Those 2 lines are the most important ones. This is, as you can see, 1936. So whenever you can, and whenever it is not too much out of time, you want to concentrate on industry. And mostly, if you know what you are doing, or even if you don't, just go with concentrated industry over dispersed industry. It's better in my opinion, at least in current state. It may be. You can shift click on those to open more. If you were to just left click, they will be replaced, but if you shift click, 2 things get opened and you can look through them. Alright, we are picking concentrated industry. That will outright increase the production of our factories. As you can see here, 2 factories have output of 4.9, and this has all the equipment has different kinds of equipment have different costs. So we need to use to produce 3.5 to produce one unit of this, or 0.5 to produce 1 unit of that. And so that's how it is calculated, how much we produce either thing. So that production, basic production, is then increased by the, as you can see, base output is 5. It is then increased by the one we are actually researching. That would be by 20%, and then the production efficiency is applied. Pretty simple when you know how it works. Okay, waiting for the rest of the researches, and political power will be at 150. Alright, our divisions have arrived, but we'll worry about that later. Now, political power. Political power is actually the resource you are using for your focus. Every time you use, always when you are researching on focuses, you use 1 point of political power. I also believe I failed to mention that almost all focuses take 70 days to complete. Almost, there are a few exceptions, but knowing that, you are able to, for example, prepare your build, so to speak, for a specific point in time. For example, if you want to go, if you want to attack France, the moment Germans declare war on Poland, that means we have time to finish 19 of the focus tree unlocks before that, so we can strategize and think and pick and choose which one we want to pick. It's usually very, it's almost always, at least for the first few years, to do your focuses instead of saving up political power. Speaking of political power, on top of fueling your focus trees is mostly used to make changes in law and government screen. You access that by clicking the flag or pressing Q. So we have laws and government. We spoke about those earlier. If we wanted extensive conscription, we could use 150 power to use that, but we don't. Oh, and before we, basic value is always 2. If you are playing on recruit difficulty, you will have 50% bonus, so you would get 3 every day. 1 is used for your focus. You would get twice the amount you get on normal. So at this point you would have 300. And the similar fashion on veteran difficulty, you have 50% penalty. So instead of getting 1 spare, you get, so instead of getting 2, you get 1.5, and I'm sorry, it's 25% penalty, but and 25% bonus. But since 1 is used always, it basically means that you get twice or half the amount you get. So this on veteran, this is 0.5 a day. So it to change any of those, it would take you 300 days, not 150. All right. So conscription laws you only change when you run out of manpower, or are very much about to. The moment you change them, your manpower is set to the new maximum. It doesn't take time or anything. Just do it at the last possible moment. Trade laws, just try to not change them unless you are really know what you are doing. Economy laws, though. Economy laws change of economy laws is usually the thing you want to do first. If you look at our partial mobilization law, as you can see, it grants us 10% construction speed for military factories, which we actually don't use, right? We aren't using just yet. We are only building civilian factories, if you remember, for now. It also provides bonuses for switching between civilian and military factories for conversion, but there is almost never a good time to do that. I'm yet to find myself in a situation where that would make sense, so you can safely ignore that. But the important part here is consumer goods factories, 20%. Civilian economy has 30, and it also affects your civilian factory construction, which is bad. And early mobilization also affects civilian construction and has 25. We, as a fascist nation, are able to switch to war economy outright. and that would lower, not only boost our military factory speed construction, but what's more important in this case is lower our consumer good factors requirement from 20 to 15%. What does that mean? If you remember, civilian factories are used for construction, for building all the buildings. And here is the ones that we are spending for our traded goods. We are spending too for oil and rubber. We are also getting 5 from trade, as I mentioned earlier. While we are exporting quite a bit more, for example 25 aluminium, we only get the amount that the civilian factories for something that is actually bought by the other nation. So increasing our trade law will not automatically increase the amount of civilian factories that we get, only when someone buys something from us. Okay, but what's that? So as you can see below the line, civilian and military factories 51. So we add the amount of civilian factories we have and amount of military factories, that's 51, and then count the 20% of that, and it's being as you can see averaged up. So 50 would be 10 and 51 is 11. And those factories are used to produce civilian goods to keep our population happy. Those are basically useless, those are lost for us. Now imagine we kept having 30 civilian factories, but we have built let's say another 50 military ones. That would put us at 100 factories total, but we would need to use 21 of our civilian factories to support our civilian population, basically gutting our ability to construct anything to only 10 factories. That's why you want to keep you want to get your civilian factories pretty high up, especially before early on when you do not have bonuses for building more military factories. And so in this situation, changing from partial mobilization to war economy will lower our need for consumer goods from 20 to 15% by 25%, and that will be I believe 2 or 3 factories saved for us. So this is the thing we are going to take. Another good options early on are within political advisors. Those differ from nation to nation, but at least some nations have there are things like communist, revolutionary, democratic informer that are ways to switch your country's allegiance. So if we could try to turn Italy communist, for example, or democratic, and that's the way to do it here, or fascist, demagogue. Those all the nations get those. Then things like Prince of Terror, that's later. Monthly opinion, those are more political ones. But here is there isn't the one I was about to mention. Let's talk about industrial ones. That's what we are focusing on. So there is a captain of industry and war industrialist. Those are less important. This can be useful later, but for now we are interested in captain of industry. It increases the speed in which we build civilian factories by 10%, and So that's basically our second goal here, since we keep still producing civilian factories. If we were to start military factories production earlier, we would want to go for military factory construction speed guy. So those are usually your first three ways to spend your political power. And but let me explain why you want to take war economy first instead of captain of industry. For example, that's 10% construction speed to civilian factories. It's a simple math. We now have 18 factories that are actually producing something. Taking that captain of industry basically gives us 1.8 civilian factories, right? 10% of each of those. And switching to war economy will save us between 2 and 3 factories. And once if we build more, then since we are just above the threshold, that will be 3 very shortly. For that reason, this is a better option. And then the next one in line is the industrialized. Let's speak war economy. Yes, here you go. That's basically war economy is always your go-to choice when you are playing either communist or fascist nation. It is more difficult to change as democratic, but for that's beyond the scope of this video. I think we'll do that in a playthrough as France, which should be, and then as United Kingdom. Playthrough as France should be out within well, about the time you watch this. So check that. Links in the description. Okay, back to here though. So political advisors are next. Then we have things called research and production. Let's start from the very end. And theorists. Theorists do basically two things. They give you some passive gain of experience in their own field, and they lower the research costs for doctrines. Either generally, for example, naval doctrine or specific doctrine, like here, fleet and being. The ones with specific ones are more expensive, but they have 3% higher. I usually go with the cheaper ones, to be honest. And of course, if you want a different one, then if you want to take a different doctrine than the one they have, you are bound to take the cheaper one anyway. You can only have one theorist though, so it's not possible at the time. You can switch them later, but by paying, switch will basically replace them, and if you would want to replace them back, you will have to pay again. So that's all. It all adds up cost-wise. So you bottom line is you can't have, for example, a guy from that will lower the mobile warfare doctrine research time and air doctrine research time. Those 5 though are so-called design companies. They lower research time required for researching specific things, but also increase certain stats for equipment researched when they are higher. So if I were to, for example, pick Fiat as my design company, and then I would research a new kind of tank, for example L6. If I had Fiat chosen as my design company, the moment this research ends, it doesn't matter if I do or don't when it starts, when research ends, that tank would have bonus to, what was that? 5 higher reliability. It's a shit bonus, don't worry about that. The armor research, of course, is the research bonus always is applied outright. So even if you are in the middle of the research and you get some kind of research bonus, it works. It will affect the other half of the research. So that's the part that may be useful here. Ship designer, only naval research time, as you can see. Those vary between nation to nation. For example, Japan will have, I believe, 5 or 6 different design companies with different bonuses. French have two I think, tank design companies, Renault and AMX, and Germans have 4 or 5, and so on. We have 4 aircraft design companies, which is quite a lot. We have light aircraft designers for fighters and carrier fighters, medium aircraft for heavy bombers and tactical bombers, heavy aircraft for strategic bombers, and naval aircraft for naval bombers and carrier naval bombers. There is a 5th one for close air support. Here, the one you want the most is usually the one from fighters. The bonus granted, reliability bonus, isn't as important, even though it's 20%, looks huge. Heavy aircraft, I'm not a big fan of strategic bombing, and bonus isn't that great either. But if you do strategically bomb, then you can also switch those around. But if you were to choose one, go with fighters almost always. Then material designs. We have small arms research, so all the guns and all the infantry types as well. Motorization, that affects research time of that, if we haven't had that. Motorized rocket artillery, it's actually quite easy to overlook here. Here it is. Not a big fan of it, but it has its uses. It's year. As you can see, it's ahead of time here. It's 1939 research, and then it affects also motorized, but as well it also affects those 2 lines. So field hospitals and logistics companies. Those are support companies for your divisions that required motorized to be used. Okay, and let's power through it. Artillery, well, you know what that, just everything in the artillery tree, but it does not affect the self-propelled artillery that is part of the tank tree, like those. It won't affect the research speed of those, but those actually research very fast, much faster than, for example, those anti-tanks and whatnot. Alright, and industrial concern, industrial research time. There are 2 more. This one is the best, really. Electronic one is also one to consider if you have one, but this is a good one. And military staff, those are 3. This is a Chief of Army, Chief of Navy, and Chief of Air Force. You can pick one of each. They provide those bonuses those are combat bonuses, so there is no need to pick them before you start the war. We won't get into that. And military high command, those are 3 spots that use the same pool, so you will be able to pick up to 3 of those. In all of those cases, you can replace them later by paying more points. So that's about it. When it comes to that, let's use the rest of the episode and do some fighting in Spanish Civil War. As I mentioned earlier, our goal here is not to win the war. Our goal is to do some fighting, suffer as few losses as possible, get some experience for our general, and get some army experience. We would actually rather see the Spanish Civil War to last as long as possible, because when it ends, it rises the world tension a lot. and we, being an aggressive fascist that we are, want to expand and conquer a few nations. And as soon as world tension gets to 25%, those nations will start being guaranteed by United Kingdom and France. So if we wanted to go to war with Yugoslavia, but they were world tension was above 25, they would most likely get guaranteed by United Kingdom, and United Kingdom would join the war on their side. Don't kid yourselves. If they guarantee, they will join. So that's usually not the place you want to be. It's better to for example, wait for Germany to attack Poland and then join the war there. So your early game strategy as communist or fascist nations, because diplomatic ones can't attack nilly-willy, is that strategy is determined by just revolves around sneaking an invasion or two before the threshold reaches 25%, and then waiting for the civil war, for the World War II. So in this game we would want to end of Spanish Civil War is worth about 13 or 14% here, so not good. Also, how do you okay, I can't show now because that requires political power, but basically there are two ways of getting war goals as a fascist state. It's justification here. It will take about 250 years and cost you about 50 political power, or doing it by unlocking specific things in your tree. So if you wanted to go very fast for Yugoslavia, we would take this one and this after this one after that, and once this finishes, we are able to go to war with Yugoslavia. And despite this being only a claim for Slovenia and Dalmatia, two provinces in Yugoslavia, as when you are at war, and when your enemy surrenders, you can do whatever you want. You can take it all. You can puppet them. You can just take one, take nothing. Doesn't matter. You are free to do whatever you want. All right. Okay, and I guess last information. We want to establish a front line to get some of that nice planning bonus, of course. But we don't want them to get into random positions. So just instead of just clicking on it on the border, just right clicking. Just left clicking, we'll hold right click and select provinces in which we want our front line to be. In this case, we will put them all here and then put just an offensive order for the planning bonus to start ticking. And if we pass, they will strategically deploy to that position, and we'll wait for them to regain the organization, and then we'll be able to fight. Only problem is that those are mountains. This is a mountain province and this is a hill province though, so could have been worse, but less than ideal. There's a lot of mountains here, as you can imagine. A lot of hills, a lot of mountains will probably just attack the hilly province here. Though, as you can see here, those are very under-equipped. It is like they have a single rifle for every 4 of them or something, so we can probably just go and attack them in the mountains. That would take a while for them to fight, for them to okay, let's just do that. As you can see here, they have awful strength. Base value of the attack is 5.4 since it's knights and they have low experience as well. They only do 2 possible damage to us, which is nothing. So we'll discuss the combat in detail in the next episode. So let's just finish it here and see you guys next time.